大家好，我是梁冬。关于生命这个话题呢，其实我一直非常希望能够采访到一位朋友凯文凯利，因为呢他在《失控以及后来的必然》这本书里面呢，一直在跟我们去阐述人类的未来。今天呢，很有幸呢，我们和凯文凯利先生呢一起来聊一聊，到底他所看到的人类这个物种生命将会如何演进。
So the kind of life that I'm interested in is the life that is on this planet, and I see it as an extension of the same self-organizing principles that made the universe, galaxies, the planets. They all began from a little dot, and they became more complicated, even though the rest of the universe is running down, becoming disorganized. There was a little thread of things becoming more organized over time. That is the same principles that make life on this planet. It's self-organizing into more complexity while the rest of the universe goes to chaos. And so it's something that is making more complexity over time, and what I think life ultimately is increasing possibilities. More and more possible ways to exist, to be. So today, there's 30 million species on this planet, 30 million more ways to be than 4 billion years ago. So humans are not the highest in evolution. Evolution's more radial. Evolution goes outward. So humans and a oyster and a tree are all equally evolved. We're all the same amount evolved. We all have 4 billion years of evolution. And so what humans are the way for life to invent new ways of being. So humans are the instrument to make technology, which is another way of making more possible things in the universe. Our own intelligence is not at the center of the universe. Our own intelligence is a very particular kind of intelligence that was evolved over millions of years to solve one problem. And we are going to invent, each of these stars will be a different type of AI. Many, many species of AI, not just one type, many species, and each of them will be different. And each of them, to my greater point, all right, artificial intelligence is not human life. It already is smarter than us in different directions and will continue to be smarter than us in many other dimensions. It's not human life. It's smarter than humans, but in a different way. It's creative as humans, but in a different way. And that difference is actually its main advantage. So that's one thing about artificial intelligence, is the fact that it's different. The second important thing is that it's going to birth a second industrial revolution. And so, if you can imagine this car that we have, the car that was going down the road that had 250 horses in it, now we're going to add some AI to it, and we'll have 250 minds as well as the 250 horses. So we have not just artificial power, but now we have artificial intelligence, and that is a self-driving car. No longer horse-drawn, you have an automated energy source, and then you have an artificial mind, and the two of them together by the fact that we have this cheap new power, and it's going to flow on a grid that we call the cloud. This is a grid that will deliver AI to anybody. It's a commodity. It's a utility. It'll be a service. You don't have to make the AI. You just buy the AI. As much as you want, as much as you need, you just purchase AI and apply it to whatever you're doing. And that is going to be the second industrial revolution that's going to be propelled by having artificial intelligence everywhere.
有趣。现在呢，我们看到人类呢，以前在过去的这么长时间，一直是按照一个有序的方式在演化。 但是似乎存在着一个裂变的可能性。这个裂变的可能性就是不同的文明。现在呢，这个地球上的不同地区呢，都在各自的有一种独立化的趋势，而且呢，似乎世界正在朝着混乱的方向发展。
Yes, I think the arc, we call it the arc of history, the long-term trends, is that we will become one planet. We will become one society, one civilization. This idea of nationalism is very short-term. So the arc, the long arc, is that we have a planetary world government, a one machine where we have 7 billion people, all the machines that were connected together, all the AIs, we form one system.
您认为谁将会更大可能成为这样的一个统一机器的一部分？是 Google 还是 Facebook 还是其他？
Google, Facebook, Baidu, in the internet era that we're in now, there are natural monopolies because of network effects. Any network will have natural monopolies, one or two dominant monopolies. But those are all very short-lived, at the most, 20 years. And then they're displaced by another monopoly. Not just one company, but many, many, many companies over time. I don't know about Baidu, I don't know about Apple, I don't know who is going to be the biggest AI company in the world. That is the direction that we're going. The second long-term trend is interacting. We want our devices and our inventions to interact with us. We want them to be living in a certain sense. We want them to respond to us. We in many ways interact with computers. I worked on this movie called Minority Report with Steven Spielberg, the director. And we imagined the future of computing in the year 2050. And we imagined that in the future you would use your arms to talk to computers. You have gestures, fingers. You would move things around and grab stuff. You'd use your whole body. You would talk to it. And that idea was displayed in the movie where the Tom Cruise character is manipulating data to music. It was picked up later on in the Iron Man movies where the same guy, the Tony Stark character, is using data sets, and he has his whole body and he's kind of dancing with it. And it's not just the large gestures, it's even the small gestures that we can interact with computers. These are some nano radar chips that actually detect our finger movements, and they can also detect our expressions in our face, so they can read our emotions. So the ultimate way to interact with our computers is to go inside them. And that's what virtual reality is. Virtual reality is where you go inside and interact inside, and the computer's around you, basically. There are a lot of questions that I get almost every interview. And the most common question I get is, will the robots take over and kill us? That it's a fictional fantasy idea that's not at all possible. But everybody believes it's possible because they see it in the movies. So maybe it's a misunderstanding of how the world actually works. I always get that I feel is misguided.